You're listening to the 12 Days of Crusademas 2023, brought to you by the Longbox Crusade. 11 Bruce Lee's scene. Hello and welcome to the 11th day of the 12th day of it's Christmas time, and it's brought to you by the Longbox Crusade. The 12 Days of Crusademas is our gift to the podcast community to celebrate the holiday season. And we're celebrating this joyous season by sharing with you some comic book titles that may have gotten by you in the past. Each of the 12 Days of Crusademas, we will bring you a hidden gem of a comic brought to you either by one of our Holly Jolly co-hosts or a podcast celebrity guest or a Crusaders Club member, but all that's behind us. It's the intimate portion. It's the waning days of the 12 Days of Crusademas. It's just the OG crew sitting here with our cocoa in hand, sitting around the fire, just relaxing. And we're going to do this all the way until we get to Christmas Day. I am your host for this 11th day of Crusademas, Jarrod Albrecht, the yard sale artist. You may know me as the Christmas Probe. And before I introduce my guests, I want to tell you guys something. This will be particularly interesting to Pat. I went outside today to hang decorations.
What?
Why? I just felt like, we're getting really close to Christmas, right? I think it's tomorrow. I thought I should pitch in, right? And as you guys know, here at Longbox Studios, across the street from us is the Fire and Water Studios. And they were hanging stuff up, man. They were putting up some really nice stuff. In fact, I saw Rob Kelly was on the roof, and he even had like the little hammer and the nails, and the little tack nails, like tack, 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 and he was hanging up the lights spelled out Merry Christmas with the full blown tack.
Yeah, Rob's pretty artsy like that. Yeah,
he is. But here's the thing, this is a holiday season, and we love those guys. And you know what he says, Jarrod, you are a paranoid little weirdo, and he did that with the hammer tapped in Morse code, which I thought was interesting.
That's really distinctive and just really interesting that he would especially call you that.
Yeah.
It's like Morse he knows code. You.
Yeah. Why were you out decorating?
So you didn't like the fact that I'm a paranoid little weirdo, that I would assume he's tapping Morse code, that you went right back to why was I decorating?
Mary Jang's going to find out about that. We all have our assigned tasks. And if you mess it up, you're going to
I couldn't come off mute fast enough. I didn't get the reference.
There's no reference. The joke is he called me a paranoid little weirdo, but it's me because I assumed that's what he was tapping in Morse code. Thereby, I am a paranoid weirdo because that's
very specific. Yeah.
It's a lot deeper than what I usually bring to the table here.
If I boot this, go back to saying Christmas jokes.
It's back to puns. It's back to puns. So, rattling around. Here are the 3 misfit toys that are joining me for today's unwrapping. We have with us Jason, the Christmas Weasel Albrecht. Merry Christmas, Jason.
Merry Christmas, fellas. You know what time it is. It's getting close to that party time. Mary Jane, the floor is yours. Fellas, things need to come together. Things are not coming together. I got Jarrod out there doing decorations. I'm hearing about this now. Jarrod is not on decorations. Jarrod is on legal detail. Jarrod gets all the legal stuff set up. I need lawyers. Getting this legal stuff so that you know what you need to do, Jarrod.
I'm on it. I got confused. I'm on it.
I see no chocolate fountain. I've been asking for weeks for a chocolate fountain. I got Delvin somewhere in San Antonio doing God knows what and no chocolate fountain. You think I just snap my fingers and then Christmas party appears? It's not how it happens.
Why does Delvin always get chocolate fountain duty? It just seems...
Yeah, that's unfair.
Because it's stereotype.
Okay, all right.
Stereotype.
At least she's honest.
Hey, come on,
yes,
man.
Mary Jane. Yeah.
Why no decorations up in this hallway?
Jarrod was out there. He was supposed to do the decorations.
Jarrod doesn't do decorations. Jarrod illegal.
I didn't know that.
Jarrod legal.
You know what?
Delvin chocolate fountain. Jason, give me my time, and you do all the other stuff.
All right, Mary, you're right.
Okay, it's Christmas Eve, fellas. Come on. Tomorrow's a big day. We got to get this together. We got to pull together. Longbox on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Longbox.
Read them all. Crap. I got confused.
All right. I feel it coming. I see the fire in your eyes now. I like it. Let's have it. Pop, pop. Pop, pop, hiss. Pop, pop, hiss.
It comes together like Voltron every year, so we'll be fine.
That's what I keep telling her, but she's just, boy, you know how she gets this time of year.
Mary Jane doesn't know that we already recorded the party episode, Pat, so
oh, sure.
We've been to the future. All right. Well, that's always a thing. Also joining us is the Crimus Web, as it says on his screen. It is Delvin the Dark Web, the Crimus Web. William.
Merry Christmas, Jarrod.
Merry Christmas.
Right by the fire. I got my gun and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to podcast. What are we podcasting about today?
I think Bruce Lee comic.
Oh, it's just a happy coincidence then. I do jujitsu. So I just put my gi on. Doesn't everyone else sit around the fire with gis on? Is it that the Christmas thing?
Just you and your jiu-jitsu friends, or as I like to call them, gi unit. Jokes from 2003.
that actually was funny.
Your bit just got overbitted.
I did. I was definitely overbitten. That's for sure.
I had to make up. No one liked the Tech Hammer Morse code joke from before.
It's possible that when Rob Kelly hears it, he's going to be like,
"That's probably right." He doesn't listen to our network. Don't worry about it.
No, that's true.
You know what? Our fourth and final member, the founder of the Longbox Crusade, Pat, DJ Chris Kringle Christados. On this Christmas Eve, Pat, as we sit around the fire, Tootsies are nice and warm.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love this time of year.
I do too, Jarrod, and like Delvin, Delvin said he was going to put on, something to keep him warm. So he brought his gi, but I thought he meant like to keep warm. So I went and got my gown that I wear, your
like the vintage, like 1800s.
Yeah. Something like that. And, my robe is what I got my robe, a smoking robe, because, today's the 11th day of Christmas, and that's 11 pipers piping. So I brought 11 pipes for us all to smoke while we're sitting around the fire. So I got my smoking jacket on. Delvin's got his gi on.
Pat.
Yeah.
While we were doing introductions, I saw you smoke 9 of those pipes.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. There's only got to be, I just got to have 4 more for you guys. Don't worry. I can repack them. Oh, it'll be fine, Delvin. Don't worry about it.
Pipes are for me.
But you know how we like the pipes around here, and we've gotten away from some Sherlock Holmes, so I figured I had some left from the stash, from ones that people didn't want to give out. So I had some left, so I figured why not share it with you guys and just sit back and relax with those memories. And while we're relaxing about those memories, I wanted to tell another joke.
Uh-oh.
Just to lighten the mood up, and while we laugh and smoke and have some good time. So
he's been looking for these pipes all year.
It makes you laugh. Oh, anyway, what did the bagpiper say when he couldn't find his bagpipes?
I don't know, man.
Well, of course, he said, "Where did I kill them? Where did I kill them? Where did I kill them?"
Is this Chat GPT again?
Do I need to do that in Morse code?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Okay.
What's more for I did not like that joke?
Is this what you got from the Pat GPT?
Well, of course, they all are.
These AIs cannot write jokes at all.
No, they're not going to take over. No, I'm not worried about it anymore.
Well,
I've seen the
pipes.
Terminator movies, and none of the robots were particularly amusing. So, there's that.
They were all funnier than these jokes, though.
Whew. I need you to close your boots and your motorcycle. Okay, so what did the bagpipe say when he got? Never mind.
What did the bagpipe?
All right, so Geek Unit was the winner, and it was out of left field. So there we go. All right, well, let's get the show on the road. Joining us around the fireplace today is nobody. It's just us. I already told you that. The Crusader Originals. And you know what I got wrapped in this stocking? Well, I'm going to tell you. As you heard in the singing intro, today is 11 Bruce Lee's leasing, which means we're unwrapping Bruce Lee, number 3, from Malibu Comics, 1994. Brief history of this book. It's written by Mike Barron and art by Val Myrick. Mike met Val when they were working at Now Comics. Mike was writing Green Hornet comics, and Myrick was drawing the Kato book. What I particularly like about this creative team is Val Myrick was already well-versed in martial arts. I want to say whatever discipline he was in, he had a black belt. I might have made that up, but he well-versed. And Mike Barron specifically took martial arts classes when he knew he got the book, so he would understand the character better and his mindsets and those kind of things. So I really kind of admire the commitment to the craft that they put into this. They actually took classes and brought a lot of that into the book. And I think that shows up. Let's talk about Malibu Comics. That's not a company that we talk about a lot, but it's funny because just about I'm not going to say just about each and every one of you have read some wildly popular comics published by Malibu Comics. You just didn't probably know it. So let's talk about Malibu Comics. They started in 1986, and actually they went out of business in 1994. I don't know if Bruce Lee is the book that killed it because it's a 94 book. We'll actually talk about how and why. That's pretty interesting too. So what's interesting is in the late 80s, early 90s, there's a guy named Scott Michael Rosenberg who secretly is buying up medium kind of up-and-coming publishing companies. He bought Eternity, he bought Amazing Comics, Wonder Color Comics, Imperial Comics, and Malibu Comics. His plan was to sort of buy them all up, make them big, and then become this big competitor to Marvel and DC. And we know that didn't really happen. Malibu's biggest selling title under their own label was X Mutants. You might have seen that one around, EX-Mutants. That was sort of their biggest selling one. You'll probably see it in dollar bins or quarter bins or whatnot. But where did they really hit some home runs? Like I said, you've read some stuff published by Malibu because they were the publisher for Image Comics when they started. So if you're reading Spawn, Savage Dragon, Wildcats, all that, they were the printer for it. They were the ones actually doing the physical printing for Image Comics. They're also famous for being an early adopter of digital coloring, which is kind of funny because I remember, Pat, you and I were doing a G.I. Joe episode and Delvin Cox came on and he said, all those Image Comics always had a unique coloring that looked different from anybody else. Well, they basically ported it in from Malibu. Malibu was one of the early adopters of digital coloring, and people really liked that about their work. They're riding high in the early 90s, even though everything came to a close in 94, because they got the Mortal Kombat license. We all remember how crazy popular that was in 92, 93, 94. So they had the Mortal Kombat license, which was selling well in comic books, but their downfall was Malibu also tried to build their own video game branch, and it was costing them way more than it was making them. And really, the video game branch is what brought them down. What's I think is kind of funny is as their video game branch is bringing them down, DC Comics comes in and says, we would like to buy out all your titles. And more importantly, they like the coloring process. And they're like, we want to buy all your titles and we want to adopt your coloring process. And Marvel said, nope, we're going to buy them. And so, okay, why? If DC had bought Malibu, DC would have then become bigger than Marvel. And Marvel was like, RoboCop, we can't have that. And they literally bought them so DC couldn't have them. And that is the story of Malibu.
I want your comics, your games, and your coloring process.
Very well done. Some of the main reasons that I love the Bruce Lee book are, big surprise, it's bonkers. Everybody knows I love bonkers stuff on this show. It is bonkers. It has martial arts all throughout. And then, by the way, the art on it, this Myrick guy, I'm surprised I haven't heard of him in something else. He's really good at what he does. Martial arts action, multiple plot lines. Bruce is running a school. Bruce is trying to get his Hollywood career going at the same time. There's gang problems. There's just so much going on all at once. The book never slows down. And being a historic buff, if you will, of Bruce Lee, and I've seen all of his films, and I've seen the documentaries and all that, I think they really capture the essence of Bruce Lee, the man, because in the comic, he's really torn between his Hollywood career and his martial arts studio, and that's how he was in real life. He wanted to be a star, but he also wanted to be a martial arts instructor at a school. You know, he wanted both, and it was so hard to be both. The book does a great job of capturing that. I have it hardbound, all 6 issues. It only went 6 issues, folks. All right, guys, let me pitch it to you. have any of you read any of these Bruce Lee comics from Malibu? There's only 6 that you would have been able to find. We'll start with Pat.
I have never read one of these before, so first read for me.
Excellent. Delvin.
First read for me, Jarrod, and just as an aside of your story, it looks like video killed the Malibu star.
Oh, we got through the bad jokes at the front. We're killing it here in the middle. Video killed the Malibu star. I'm gonna pass it to Jason. Jason, have you read this before?
No, sir. I've never read this before. First read for me.
Well, you know what, guys? It's a lot of first reads going around because I actually just ordered all 6 issues off of eBay this past year. So it's really fresh to me, too. I'm not going to lie and be like, I was on this book back in 94. I didn't even know it existed back in 94. About a year ago, Mike Barron was on Twitter and he said, hey, I've got some signed copies of this if anybody wants to order them. And I was like, well, Mike Barron or Bruce Lee? This sounds really fun, right? And I messaged him, I was like, how much do you want? The answer was more than I was willing to spend. So I went over to eBay, found a good deal on them, ordered them, sent them over to our friend Tim Benson at Omaha Bound. And as you know, got them hardbound. So we're actually all pretty new to this. Although I got excited about it when I was reading this past year and said, I'm bringing this to Crusademas. All right. Quick summary of this particular issue. I picked 3. They're all bonkers. They all just are nonstop. So I was like, let's just pick one from the middle, like just right in the middle and see what's going on. That's why I picked it. It starts with another high energy cover. By the way, all the covers on these are great. Val Myric's amazing. The coloring that they use on it is really cool. Anyway, it's got a high energy cover. In this issue, Bruce breaks into the movie business playing a villain. And the phrase surf Nazis must die is actually used in this comic book, which I thought was hilarious. Bruce's assistant instructor, Stickman, stands up to a local street gang. Bruce is feeling the stress of being pulled between the school and his budding Hollywood career. And just as he's making friends with his lovely co-star, Caitlin, it looks like Bruce might have to square off with her ex, a stunt coordinator and martial arts instructor himself named Joe Dorgan. I didn't put this in the summary, but leading up to this, Bruce had a competition studio across the street from his studio that had another American martial artist who was also like selling drugs and performance enhancers. And yeah, defeat. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. But anyway, that's where we are in issue 3. What did you guys think of issue 3? We will start with our gi-clad member, Delvin.
Actually, I passed it to him. I traded him for his robe. But you know what? It's okay. I'll just go ahead and start. Bonkers is a good word for it. I wish I would have read it about 2 or 3 times. I read it once, and it was never like, what the heck? This is weird. And everything's just jumping from place to place. I wasn't that bad, but there was a lot of jumps from place to place. And if anything, if I want to take something away from that, it would be that this wasn't based off a true story, right? This was just my riffing, or
kind of riffing on the lore. It's
got it.
Yeah,
because some of it felt like the little bit I know of Bruce Lee. I know that he was in movies that he actually had someone confront him on the movie set, and they kept it in on Enter the Dragon, and that fight was incredible. Like, oh my God. So the man, if you think about it, he was an amazing man. So amazing men often have amazing circumstances that happen to make them amazing. And so it was interesting getting to see a bit of that. And there were some pretty cool martial arts moments in there too. Like the buff dudes at the beginning, just thinking that because he was a small dude that he was just going to be wussy. He's like, okay, cool. Like here's, the cigarette as a gun. And then he just jumps through the door and just completely blows them both out of the water, figuratively, of course. And that was just one of many. Oh, and the earring trick that he did. That earring trick that he did was phenomenal. I like that a lot. So a lot of cool spots, a lot of crazy action. So it would be interesting to see how in the heck Mike brought this to a close after 6 issues, because he definitely opened up a lot of different plot threads.
I will have to get back to you because I have read up through issue 5. I have to finish my book, but I'm really enjoying it. And I think all your comments are legit. I have a question, but it might come up with other people's comments. So let me just find out what Jason has to say.
I think in Hollywood lore, there are a couple actors who are larger even than the characters that they play. I think Sean Connery. You always get Sean Connery. We kind of joke about it. This is my accent as a barber. you know, but you know, there's their charisma, that there's just something about them that makes them a story unto themselves. John Wayne and Bruce Lee, regrettably, his career was big, bright flash, and who knows what it could have been. But even in that short span of time, he was larger than life and a person on whom you could create video games, movies, comic books. And this is just another example of that. They're able to take this legend of Bruce Lee. And I haven't studied him as much as you have, Jarrod, but you know, there's this guy that just has so much charisma and so much talent. Anybody else that had that arrogance that he has, that you see in this comic book, it doesn't work. But he is so confident because he's so good and he knows it. And there's something that's just good and noble in him, that he gets away with that level of arrogance. It just brushes right up against the edge of it. And Mike Baron does a really good job of capturing that in this book. Of course, I know Mike Baron from The Badger, a great book. And I had some familiar feelings with that book compared to this one when I saw the martial arts on display in the panels. And hats off to Val Myrick, man. I'd never heard of him before, but he does a good job of capturing the motions, the martial arts motions, but he also does a really good job of automobiles, buildings, backgrounds. It is a complete package in here. Really good job. So from top to bottom, this is one of those comics, I think, that had the right writer and the right artist and definitely the right theme. And I'll stop it there.
Can real quick, Jarrod? Consider, like, they mentioned it in the book, and I've heard it before. Bruce Lee invented Jeet Kune Do. He's like, my system is not system. Consider that. There's hundreds of year-old martial arts that are out there between, you know, karate or judo or something like that. And Bruce Lee is teaching a system that's his. That's literally his. So one more quick aside to this, and I'll tie it in very quickly. The reason that he was able to get away with it, Jason, is because he was just that dang good. You see it in the NFL or all the big major sports leagues all the time. There will be some problematic person, not necessarily, let's say charismatic, that as soon as that talent level drops from an A+ to like a B+, it's like, nah, we're not putting up with this anymore. And Bruce Lee, he was such a bright light that he never even had a chance to flicker. He was just a burning inferno the entire time. And because of that, he was able to do all the amazing things that he did.
Yeah, I hate to get depressing on Christmas Eve, but it's just how unfair was it that this man hits his bright moment and then we lose him, and then the exact same thing happens to his son. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, Brandon.
Just we were robbed. The world was robbed.
They mentioned about that dragon that was chasing them. And so who knows? Like, maybe these men were so doggone transcendent that there was literally some other battle that they were fighting that we didn't see. Who knows?
Who knows? Just such talented gentlemen. All right, Pat, we bring it to you. I know you like the Surf Nazis Must Die reference.
I did laugh at it. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that one. That was good. You know, in comparison to...
And because of you, I've actually seen that movie now.
It's a fun movie.
It's a thing.
It's right up your alley. It's bonkers.
It is bonkers and insanely 80s and bonkers.
Just crazy, yeah. And speaking about bonkers, I mean, Delvin mentioned it. This is a bonkers kind of a read. When I read it, I'm like, what's going on here? Well, Delvin mentioned jumping around. What's happening? Delvin also asked, one of my questions was how similar or how much of his real life was kind of brought into here, or, you know, was this like a semi-documentary, semi-twist on some things as it goes with his career? Because you can see that, like he's challenged between career and school. But the other thing I did notice and I liked was, and it's probably just Bruce Lee himself, was his character, yeah, he was arrogant, or he was, very confident in himself, but he was also very aware of who he was talking to, people surrounding him. Even at the end when the kind of bully boyfriend comes up, he's like, hey, we're called on the set, so I don't think he's gonna, bother us right now. He's playing it cool until someone then starts upping his level. He's able to kind of go to that level and just kind of keep, either try, I'm going to bring you down. If you're going to continue to go up, you haven't reached my point of, you want to get nuts? I'm going to get nuts. So I like that cool side of it. And then even how he treated his students when they asked, well, what are we going to do now? We don't got no place to go. And he's like, well, we'll figure it out. Well, don't worry about it. We'll get things kind of worked out and all that. So I like that kind of softer side of him as well, too, that's portrayed here. And so that's why I was kind of wondering, how much did they pull in from his life that they were trying to put all in, make it a nice story, add some action beats to it, things like that, to keep it interesting. Again, with the artwork too, man, this guy knew what he was doing. He has a special skill, and that special skill is artwork with karate or with fights, and that those really looked really nice on there. I mean, it wasn't like any blurry effects or anything like that. You got the feel of what was happening.
Yeah. One thing, just since a couple of you guys have mentioned it, I feel like the closest ties of Bruce Lee, I already mentioned, is his being pulled between the movies and his studio. That was very real Bruce Lee. Another thing that's very real Bruce Lee is going all out at an audition. When he got the part of Kato in Green Hornet, he went in there and did amazing things. Like he kicked out a light bulb in the ceiling, and he's only 5 foot, whatever. He jumped so high and kicked it out. And they were like, man, you're going to be Kato, but you got to tone it down because the show is called The Green Hornet, which, by the way, over in Hong Kong, it was called The Kato Show. So, So, yeah, he had that real flamboyant, real, like, I'm going to show you what I can do attitude. So those are sort of the real touch points, Pat, and a couple of you guys brought that up. The question I wanted to toss you guys, and I didn't realize it until I read it the second time in preparation for the show, but I just realized that it's set in the 90s. It's like set in 1994, because I was like, wait, the fashions, the clothes. And so when he comes in to meet his new movie star that's kind of hiring him to be the villain, and he's doing the splits on that chair, I think we all knew that was Jean-Claude Van Damme. If you look at it, maybe with a dash of Schwarzenegger in there, but that's I definitely felt that. But yeah, I just want to give one more tip of the cap to Val Myrick and that double page spread of Bruce Lee coming in and kicking the cigarette out of the guy's mouth. That is super cool. All right, I've glowed up this book. I've tried to sell you on as best I could. It's time to rate your interest in the series using the official Crusademas candy cane scale on a scale of 1 to 12 candy canes, 12 being extremely interested, 1 being no interest at all. How many candy canes would you rate your interest in pursuing more issues? Well, there's only 6. So good news, guys. The commitment's low. If you like it, we'll start with Jason.
All right. Humor, I'm giving it a 2. The stink bomb had me laughing, and him showing up those 2 bodyguards had me laughing too. So I thought those were cool. Heart, full 3. It's Bruce Lee. So it's law. You have to give it 3. Spectacle, 3. Lots of action in this book. And I'm not going to lie, I was reading through it, and I was that back and forth with the bully at the end. I turned the page hoping that, we're going to see what's happening. And I was like, it's to be continued. I had that little kid feeling like I used to have watching like Batman. Like, they left me hanging. I got to wait till tomorrow. And so I'm going to give that a 3. Art, 3 for all the reasons we talked about. Just a perfect marriage between a writer and an artist here for this book. You don't see that so often, and it's fun when you do. So that brings me to an 11, and it's Christmas. It's time for miracles. So, Jarrod, I'm going to give you a 12.
Woo! That bar is being set high. I love it. And hearing me get swept up, and hearing Jason get swept up about it, too, really, I think is indicative of the book, too, because remember, Mortal Kombat's the biggest thing ever. And they're like, all right, let's put a martial arts book on the stand, right? Malibu knew what they were doing all the way up till they sold out to DC. I mean, Marvel, so that DC couldn't have them. Anyways, let's find out how many candy canes our resident martial artist is going to give it, and that is Delvin.
I'm at a 10 because Bruce Lee deserves no less. Period. Consider this, right? Like, I was having a quick conversation with my father-in-law and was telling him I had the pot. And he's like, what's the comic? He was like, Bruce Lee. He's like, Bruce Lee had a comic book? And I was like, yeah, I guess he did. Consider that this man led such an insanely high energy, incredible life that one could make him into a comic book character. And it's perfectly feasible. The man was simply phenomenal. If one day I turned out to be a flicker of the martial artist that man was, then I'm pretty satisfied with what I've done with anything martial arts. I appreciated the homage to such an incredible man, and I did enjoy reading it.
Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it. All you got to do, Dylan, is be like water. Man, water's the softest stuff on earth, but it can penetrate rock. Put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. Anyway,
It becomes the cup. You have the expression.
I've studied far too much of this. Let's go to the DJ himself. DJ Christados. Put yourself in 1994.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can definitely tell in this one, yeah, where it was and what it's from. And had seen the ads that were just in this issue as well, too. It's all about the build up to Mortal Kombat 2 coming out.
Oh, and I'd forgotten they had the Deep Space Nine license, and those were some good comics. I have some of those.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they seem to be a lot of licensee kind of stuff that they were doing.
You remember earlier when I'm sorry, Peg, I want to ask you specifically. You remember earlier when I was telling you about how that dude was buying up all those companies? Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of them was Eternity. Did that ring a bell for you?
Yeah, that's Robotech.
They had the Robotech license. I thought you'd like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know my stuff.
Okay, just
and that was kind of cool. It was kind of like a slice of history there, looking through that and seeing the ads for the time. And like Jason, I was like, oh, we're going to get to another fight real quick. And then I turned the page and like, ad. I'm like, oh, no.
Hey, spoiler alert.
After the second ad, I was like, oh, no.
I know. I was like, oh, you could have put a to be continued or something, or just, or like one more splash page of just them getting ready to put the dukes up or something like that.
Like a Dragon Ball Z.
Looks like this boy's in a heap of trouble. But I was so jazzed up for that after going through this. Like, okay, I'm in on this one. So I'm with Delvin. 2 cool guys out of 10. I can dig it if I see more of them out there. I may pick them up and finish it because you said it's only 6, so it's not a bad pickup.
Only 6. I think you're going to find them in dollar bins. I want to say I got all 6 for like $20 or $25 on eBay. Yeah. No brainer to send it to Tim.
It would be cool to have this and the Jackie Chan comic book together.
Oh, a Jackie Chan comic. Oh, yeah.
That was based off of the cartoon, I think.
I love it. Oh, yeah, the Jackie Chan adventure cartoon. Oh, just another fun fact to toss in, by the way. Bruce Lee had appeared in like 3 comics before this, but they're all one-shots. This is like the only series that he actually got. Like they're like homage one-shots and stuff. But this is the only series. Anyway, I need to stop talking about it, even though I love it. I hope that came through. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Christmas out there. My final recommendation for it, as if I haven't been glowing and being excited enough, it's high energy art. It is fast-paced, multiple storylines with a solid Bruce Lee core to it. And again, it's a low commitment of 6 issues. They're affordable until this podcast release. You know how much clout we have out there. Prices are just going to go up once Crusademas goes. So you guys better get on that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up day 11 of the 12 Days of Crusademas. We'd love to hear from you if you're familiar with any of the comics we cover on the show, or if you give one of our recommendations a try. We'd love to know what you think about it. So if you dabble in some Malibu Bruce Lee, I want to know what you think. You can do that in lots of different places. We got the old Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's all at Longbox Crusade. You email contact@longboxcrusade.com, or of course leave us a voicemail. We'd love to play it on one of our shows. That number is 707-532-5269, 707-532 Hellbox.
Pick up the phone.
Jingle, jingle.
And if you're loving this whole Crusademas thing, didn't get a chance to listen last year, you just want more Crusademas, you scroll back in our feed, you're going to find Crusademas Past. We started this way back in 2017. So just go look for those Decembers. You know what? tip of the day. An easy way to do that is go to www.longboxcrusade.com because the blog page breaks them out by year and month anyway. So you can skip to each December of each year and you're going to find them all right there. It's a handy, easy way to listen to them all. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. And now we're in 2023, folks. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Be sure to come back tomorrow. It's the big day. It's Christmas Day. We're going to find out what the next and final gift is from under the tree here in the festively decorated Longbox Crusade studios. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. I want to thank you all for the listening, the support, and most of all, the comments when you guys come and put your 2 cents in on the social medias, or especially when you leave those voicemails. We get a kick out of it. Thanks for being a part of it. I hope you have the wonderful holiday season. And you know what? If you got the holiday blues, we'll always be here. Give us a listen. We'll make you laugh. And reach out to us on social media. We'll always chat with you. We're nice guys, except for one of us isn't. We'll let you figure out which one it is.
2 of us are 2 cool guys.
Anyways, thanks again. I hope you guys have a great Christmas, and we'll see you tomorrow for Christmas Day. Until then, DJ Cristato's Kringle play a Christmas jam for me.
Wickedy, 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 whack.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.